So I ended up changing a couple of the questions on the review, so just make sure when we get to the problems, you're good to go. So I'm telling you to use the quadratic formula, but really I'm just going to say find the roots. So that means I'm going to identify A, B, and C, and I'm going to use the quadratic formula. Negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c, all divided by 2a. Some of your mistakes is you're not dividing everything by 2a. Now I'm going to take this and simplify that first, not because you have to, but because that's what's easiest for me. So 8 squared is 64. 4 times 2 is 8. 64 minus 8 is 56. Okay. Let me just double check. We all have moments. You want to make sure if it's your test, you don't. Okay. Now I'm going to tree 56, 228, 214, 27, circle the double. So it should be 2 rad 14. Okay. So now I know that all of that was this. So I have negative 8 plus or minus 2 rad 14 over 2. They all divide by 2. It has to be all or nothing, okay? So negative 4, 1, 1. So x equals negative 4 plus or minus rad 14. Okay? All right, so let's put a box around that. Okay, factored form, so I just need to factor it. Well, I notice they're all even, so they all divide by 2, but I'm not solving, I'm factoring. So I need to remember at the end of this problem to bring that 2 back. If I was solving, the 2 just needs to be gone. But if I'm factoring, I've got to leave it. Now I've got to find two numbers that multiply to get 9. So I'm either going to be 9x and x, or 3x and 3x. Well, the great thing is the only options are 1, because that's what I'm trying to multiply to get. So I don't even have to switch them. So 1 and 9 will not give me 6. 3 and 3 will give me 6, but they're negative, so they're both negative. It's the exact same thing, so 3x minus 1 squared, and then I have to remember the 2. Y equals. It's not a child, so if that says y equals, that's got to say y equals. All right, this next one, they want the quadratic equation. Well, I can find the vertex just like that, which is 1, 1, 2, 3. So if the vertex is 3, I'll just put it in vertex form. So y equals f of x, whatever. Parentheses squared x, that's got to be. So I take the opposite of what the 1 is, and then I add 3. Okay. Name a function that could have a 0 at 2 and a 0 at negative 3. Okay, so I'm going to say x minus 2, x plus 3. That could be 1. Now, some of you go, how did she do that? Well, if I factor and I have, let's say, y equals x squared minus 4x minus 5, I would go x minus 5, x plus 1, and then I would get x equals 5 and x equals negative 1. So I go backwards. And I get 5 and negative 1. Okay. So that's 1. I could have y equals x minus 2 times x plus 3. I could also have y equals 2 times x minus 2, x plus 3. Because if I set the 2 equal to 0, it's just gone. Right? I could also have, well, I guess I should multiply it out because I'm not sure. I could box it out and I'd get that. I'd box it out and get y equals 2x squared plus 2x minus 12. Do you notice how if it's just times 2, that's times 2, times 2, times 2. I could also graph it, and on my graphing calculator, I could literally find where 2 and negative 3 cross. Okay, so let me get an example. Let me go get the graph. I want to remind you how to use the calculator. I have something on there, so menu actions, delete all, am I sure? Of course I'm sure. I also want to put it in standard form, so that I'll go down here into standard. Now Control G so I can graph it. And I'll just see, so x squared plus x minus 6. And then I can see that my 0 is at 2 and negative 3. Okay. I could also do y equals negative x squared minus x plus 6. I just multiplied that by -1, by -1, by -1. Let's see, how do we know I'm right? Negative x squared minus x plus 6. Okay, look, it's upside down, but where does it cross at? 2 and -3. It reflected over the x-axis. Okay, because remember, when it's with the y, it really means it's with the x. I could check this one, Control G, and that's 2x squared plus 2x minus 12. And if you look, it crosses at 2 at -3, but it's vertically stretched, so it's a lot higher. This will be multiple choice. So take them, plug them in, but make sure you show me some work. So if this was the problem, and let's say this was A, and this was B, and this was C, and then D was y equals 4x squared minus 4x, you'll just go, hey, this one has zeros at 0 and 4. That's not it. This one has zeros at -3 and 2. That's it. This one has zeros at -3 and 2. That's it. This one has zeros at -3 and 2. That's it. If you want to graph it, great. If you want to solve it, great. Whatever. Okay? The next one. All right, they want you to create a new function. And they say that it's 5 to the left. Okay, so I know when it's 5 to the left, sorry, this got a little bit cut off. So I'm going to literally go 5 to the left. So I plotted the point -3, -8, and I go 5 to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, -8. But some of you would go, hey, well, left really means right. So I'll just go +5, and then it'll turn into +8, which if you look, -8 really means +8. And then 2 down, okay, well, y is a straight shooter, so just -2. Down 2, 1, 2, -10. I don't care how you do it. Either show me work here because you knew that, or show me work here because you're a visual learner. So then -10. And then the last thing I have to do is vertically compress. So if it's compressed, it's less than 1. So give me any number less than 1. A third, a fifth, 2/7, whatever you want. Okay. Next one, g of x equals, okay, squared x. That's going to be there. Let's see. Vertically compressed by a factor of 3/4. Vertically is a straight shooter. Reflecting on the x really means it's the y. Right really means left, and up actually means up. Okay? All right, find the roots. When I say find the roots, set it equal to 0. So I'm going to subtract 9. I get -9 equals 5x squared. Divide by 5. X squared equals -9/5. Square root, square root. X equals plus or minus. Because it's -9, it's 3i over rad 5. But I think you know you can't have a radical in the denominator. Rad 5. X equals plus or minus 3i rad 5 over square root of 5 times square root of 5, square root of 25, which is 5. Okay. So when it says find the roots, just set it equal to 0. Okay. All right, I think I will do the second page in another video.